Lucid Abstract here with the stupid YouTube formula intro. But today we're going over my Chaos 20 build. Graveborn Spellshot. It's taking the capstone of Graveborn, so I guess you could call it a Graveborn main spec, but either way, as long as you have those two classes, it'll work. I'm going to try and run through this as quick as I can. We'll go through gear first. First thing I want to go over is the Spell Blade. This thing might not look like much at first, but the way I've worked it into this build, it's pretty awesome, and I love it. And we're gonna, I'll demonstrate it as we get in. But first off, for melee weapon is going to be a Spell Blade. Spell Blade gets melee attacks deal spell damage instead of melee damage. Melee attacks increase spell critical chance by 80% for 6 seconds. So whenever I melee and then do a spell right after that melee, I'm getting 80% spell critical chance. And for weapons, pretty much just running SMGs and pistols. Whatever I can get that has Thrall companions, the Hydra companions, so that I can be getting the buff. This is usually the one that I have, a Fear Not, because it has a multi-headed Hydra, so when I run in, I throw 3 of these down to get the full buffs. You know, if they have shields, I could switch to the live wire. If there's a lot of ads, I'll use this, and it can just chain to everything. I usually just honestly run the Fear Not. I have a Pixie companion one, like I can switch to if there's someone far away and they're almost dead. I just throw one of these out, it'll hone in and kill them for me. And I have another multi-headed one, is Heirloom, and it's a corrosive one, you know, for armor and whatnot. So basically, I mean, you could swap these out. I had a better gun that I like, but I out-leveled it, and I have yet to get a new one, but I'm going to eventually. So, you know, SMGs, anything that throws out Hydras for the buff. Gear-wise, I have 2 championship rings. I don't think these stack. Like the rings buff itself, the 100% increase. If it does, that's cool. But basically, they're just kind of the best rings I have. They both do gun damage. One does ability crit hit damage and spell critical hit damage. Normally, you know, I don't really look for ability, but I was testing some things out since the last time I made a build video, and I really liked it, and I'll get into that in a little bit. This one has 30% spell critical hit chance, so you know I'm buffing those as much as I can. For my ward, yes, it's called a ward, not a shield, is the Mind Rune, and I have the enchant on ward break, gain 200% spell critical chance for 5 seconds. So anytime I see my shield break, I'm casting a spell. And since I'm running, you know, the mage shield pack, my shield doesn't regenerate, so it's pretty easy for me to break my ward, because once it breaks, I cast one spell, it goes up, and it breaks again, and it goes up, and it breaks again. So I'm constantly getting this 200% spell critical chance as much as I can. I'm really using that enchant. But the reason I use the Mind Rune is because the rune on it, when you cast a spell, summon a frost rune under a nearby enemy that explodes after a short delay. This effect has a short cooldown. So this build is going to be spamming spells. I'm going to be spamming spells like crazy. So I'm going to be triggering this as much as that cooldown will let me, right? I get 25% maximum ward. That stat it comes in health too. It doesn't really matter. The unique rune abilities are shared with all players. So what that means is, like, if I'm wearing a rune that does this one and someone's wearing a rune that does a different one, we'll both get both the buffs because we're both wearing rune shields, which is pretty cool. I actually like that idea. For class mod or armor, whatever you want to call it, I would be wanting to stack spell shot power, but I haven't been lucky enough to get that. I always somehow get Graveborn stuff, but that's fine because I'm using this for the points that I get from it. So this one has 2 points into Ascension. So if with my Ascension maxed out, that's 5 points of Ascension. So that's like a bunch of spell damage. And all companion damage is converted into dark magic damage. Enemies damaged by your companions take 20% increased dark magic damage for 6 seconds. So since this is like, a thrall build, then that's buffing my companions more. So this is why I use this one, is for the ascension and the extra dark damage. For a neck piece, I'm just using what I got right now, another Graveborn power. But when the Fate Maker or Companion kills an enemy, companion damage is increased by 20% for 15 seconds. This effect stacks up to 5 times. So I'm buffing companion damage quite a lot in this because I'm working with what I have and because it just, it's Graveborn. It's just how it rolls, and it's strong and it works well. For my spells, this is where we're getting into the spell foo of it, right? So in my right hand, or I don't know what you want to call it, my right slot, I use the Arcane Bolt, and I love this spell. This is like one of my favorite spells, is Arcane Bolt. It's one of those, bit of a risk, bit of a reward. So as long as you can hit your shots with this, you're gonna be popping out a lot of them and one-shotting little guys and doing big chunks on big guys. For my left slot, I'm currently got the Twister in here. Now this one's good if I'm mobbing and there's, crowds, and I can hit him with this and it kind of grabs them and pulls them into a corner, and then I could just blast them with magic because it's got like a singularity effect, right? It picks them up and drags them and carries them away. I'm currently using the lightning and dark magic one. It comes in many different ones you can get it in. I also have like one that's toxic and cryo, but this one's chaotic, and I love using it as my opener for shields because it will just eat away shields from a whole group of enemies. But the other thing is that I will do is, like on single target damage or boss fights or stuff, I can switch this out and I'll run 2 arcane bolts. I have a frost one in here. And I'll just swap these out, and that's why I like to call it spell foo, because when these are proccing and they're getting crits, they're popping up so fast that it's like playing Guitar Hero on the keyboard. I'm just hitting my Q and E like crazy. That's where I have my spells bound. I'm just spamming them, right? And it reminds me of playing like a kung fu game or playing Sifu or something like that, where you're like, the battle is intense because you're pumping out keys as quick as you can press them. Those are the main spells that I use. A couple of the honorable shoutouts are the Frozen Orb. I like to use this one, especially if I'm fighting skeletons, because I just throw this in and it kind of like stops at him and just eats him away while it's sitting there. Eruptions are good. This is probably one of my favorite spells that I've found in this game. I use this mainly for bossing. It's a Calamity, meteor from the sky, but meteor releases a ring of projectiles on impact, and it just does a lot of damage. I will demonstrate this when we get in. Calamities are good, for the left hand, but I wouldn't run 2 of them because the cooldowns are too high usually. This one has 2 charges, so like it wouldn't be too bad, but at the same time, like the Arcane Bolt is just, it's better because it's, as long as you're hitting crits with it, it's up pretty much right after you're done using it. Laser hand can be fun if you like to hold and then let go, and you can feel like, like Iron Man. Threads of Fate. This one's pretty good for burning a boss. It's fleshy. You just charge it up, drop it, and the orb comes out and drains down their health. More arcane bolts. I collect those. A glacial cascade. These are like ice spikes that come out. These are pretty good for mobbing. Twisters. You get these from either Chaos Chamber or Dragon Lord. Dazzler's alright. Twisters are better though because they grab it. Arc Turn, everyone's got to have one of those. And the Buffmeister. Sometimes I'll put my Buffmeister in my left slot and just buff and use my Arcane Bolts. And that way I'm just running around popping stuff. Concentrated fire. that's pretty much it for gear. So let me pop over to the skills here. Now I know you're gonna see Spellshot 15% and Graveborn at 60, and you're gonna be like, "What? How are you gonna do any damage with spells?" Like, don't worry, dude. They're stacked, all right. In the skill tree, they're stacked. It works. And when I do find Spellshot power gear, it'll be even more powerful. But you'll see that this, I can cruise through Chaos 20s with no problem. I put all my skills, I max out strength, max out dexterity, and then the rest I put into wisdom for the status damage. You can really you could put it into constitution if you want. You don't really need it in intelligence because of the build. I like just as much damage as I get, so I put it in a status. But yeah, if you're dying a lot, then use constitution or just spam your spells more. So into the build, we'll start over here at the spell shot. So the last one I did was like an all caster build, and this one's a little bit different but pretty similar. And I have another build that I switch between. Like there's 3 builds that I mainly run, but this is the one that I run the most. This is my Chaos 20 build. It's kind of like the hybrid, but it's a Graveborn capstone, and you know, with the mod that I have, it works really well. So starting out, obviously ambidextrous, so I can have my 2 spells. I maxed out crit, maxed out gun damage. I only took the 2 in the reload speed because I had to get down the skill tree more. I went with glass cannon and mage armor, you know, mage pack. I went with all the fire rate and the high thread count to get the max spell weaving stacks. I'm getting the reload stacks from the mod, so I didn't have to put anything in here. These 2 are from my class mod. In the gun build version that I run of this, I use this capstone and these instead of over here. If anyone actually wants to see that, just let me know. Post it in the comments. Be like, yo, let me see that Spellshot capstone build, and I'll make it. But as of now, this is the one that I use pretty much every day when I'm just running around farming, running chaos. Like whatever I want to do with this build is there, and it will work. On the Graveborn side, I maxed out spell cooldown rate. The faithful thralls, this is important. This is like part of the build right here, is the thralls. This is where you get the damage from the companion stacked up. I went with the health regen because it works with the build, keeps you alive. I had to go with 2 points in the dark magic to get down the skill tree. I originally put the 1 to get down to the hydras, but then I had to put 1 more to get down even more. So I 2 in there, and then max out hydra, and then I max out ascension, and then this is where the class mod points come in. So normally this is 3 out of 3, so you only get that version of it, but the extra 2, I'm getting that much more per stack, which means I'm getting that much more damage. So as you can see, current effect 10% per stack, 10% per stack, stacks up 10 times. So that's 100% damage right there. Like, hello. Moving on to punishment. When the Demi-Lich casts Hellblast, there's a chance to cast again. I've just found this spell to be useful. Like, I don't have to do anything, and it's just like an instant, like, automatic damage buff. Like, I'm getting more out of it, and it seems to proc more than some of the other ones that I've tried out. Moving down, I was testing out the Blast Gasp when I made the last video. Now it's not as flashy as you would think. Like, you don't really see this going off all the time, but you feel the difference, right? And this is why it doesn't matter that a lot of my points are into the Graveborn, because I get the ability damage from it. And when this procs, it does ability damage. Whenever the Fate Maker deals spell damage, there's a chance he will create an elemental explosion, dealing ability damage of that spell's elemental type to nearby enemies. Elemental explosion cannot critical hit. Now I max this out, so I'm getting 50% of spell damage dealt as ability damage with a 20% chance. Now, as I'm going in and I'm just proccing crits, and I got high fire rate, high all this, so my guns are spamming bullets, and it's getting plenty of chances to proc this. And when it procs it, it's spreading and it's AoE and it's killing stuff. You don't notice it at first, and then you're just like, oh wow, everything's dead, and that's when you notice it. So this spell, this like skill right here, is worth it. I didn't have the extra point to be able to put into this to make it to the capstone. If I did, you know, I would throw it in there. If you want to take one out, I don't even know if you can get down the skill tree with that out. But and then obviously casting a spell automatically activates all of the Fate Maker's kill skills. It's the capstone for Graveborn. This is the build. I'm getting one extra here, so this will be 5 out of 5. That's the build. Screenshot it, look at it, whatever you need to do. Stats. So I think that was everything. Let me get into how to play it. Let's run around and kill some stuff. So like I said, first thing, you know, going in, you want to drop your companions to get your buffs up. And then, so there's not really much here, so I can kind of demonstrate. These companions will do work, right? But Arcane Bolt, hit, crit, 2, 1, boom, it's already off cooldown, right? Look at that, it's already off cooldown. So that's why I love Arcane Bolt. I can hit a Twister, grab a bunch of them, and then just throw Arcane Bolts and keep critting, and keep getting it up. If my companions go down, then I'll just pop a couple quick reloads. Now see, look, I'm getting all these thralls from that, but then I'm also getting the thralls from the talent tree. So I'm getting like double hydras spawning when I do that. So I'm getting like a total of 6 just from running in and dropping those out and casting some spells. That's, you know, 6 stacks of extra damage. And as you can see, I'm not having a problem killing anything. Sure, I'm here. We could probably run to the Chaos Chamber, find a boss or something like that to show some of the real damage, but I'm really just aimlessly walking around, popping some stuff. My skills go up, I hit him, and then what I want to demonstrate next is my Spellblade, right? So I'm on Chaos 20 right now. With Chaos 20, I can come up, I can hit this guy. Now it's not going to one-hit him, right? But as you can see, my melee is actually doing some damage. Like, I can do some damage with it. But that's not really what I'm using it for. See, now my shield's about to break and I'm gonna melee him, so when he hits me after I melee him, I'm gonna proc both of those bonuses and then hit a spell. Okay, that didn't work right. We'll redo that one. Whoa, oh, as you can see, it hit, and it hit hard. I just one-tapped him with the Arcane Bolt. Shield broke, melee'd. Boom, hit him hard. See, now, if you go down, you're like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And then you just spam your spells, dude. Spam them. Stuff is gonna die. Throw out some companions, let them do the work, and then crack your spells every time they're up. Every time they're up. You get your companions up, and once you got all your buffs up, I like to slide in, hit him once, and then start dropping spells. Yeah, go in, drop things. And that's my build. It's been Lucid Abstract. Thanks for watching. If you could, hit a like and a sub. Have a good day.